What's up, everybody? It's Friday night. Holy crap. Welcome back to another episode of the Skeptical Help Bar, the show that has very few rules, but a lot of liquor. So, yeah. Oh, we're going to have fun tonight. I am excited about tonight. Tonight, we actually have a guest on, which is awesome. I'm excited to have this person on. She is a good friend of mine and probably does 10 times more skeptical activism than I do. So I'm really, really excited to have her on. What's up, John? What's up, JD? Hey, John is like, hey, everyone. Wow. All right. So I want to go over the rules before we get going. And let me put the rules up on screen here so you guys can see them. There we go. Rule number 1 is you are welcome to ask paranormal related questions, or any kind of questions, really. And I'll give you my skeptical opinion. And then when we have a guest like tonight, they'll also give you an opinion, which is so much fun because I don't have to talk all the time. Rule number 2 is I don't know everything. That should be obvious to everyone by now, but I am not afraid to say I don't know. I also like looking stuff up while we're doing the show, which is also fun because we get to learn stuff, both you and I. Rule number 3 is listen to Patrick Swayze and be nice. That's it. Don't be a dick. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have given the power of booting people to my wife, who is my producer tonight. So if anything screws up, I'm blaming her. Rule number 4, if you have a question for myself or the guest, please put a Q, the letter Q or the word question in front of it. And that way, as I go down the comments, it helps us pick out the questions. And rule number 5, of course, is drink up. Have a good time, relax, enjoy the conversation, take part in the conversation. And with that, let me switch over to my regular banner. And then I'm going to bring over my guest. My guest tonight is Susan Gerbic, who is a delight, really. She is a delight. I'm not going to go into too much about her. I'm going to let her talk about it herself because there is so much this woman does. I call her the Energizer Bunny of skepticism because she like bounces off the walls if you don't hold her down. So I'm going to stop talking and let her come on. Here we go. Hold on a second. Boom, boom. Hey, Susan.
Hi, guys. Hi, Donna. Hi, Kenny.
How are you tonight?
I'm peachy keen just like every other night.
Cool.
This is my life 24/7.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you do a lot of stuff. You really do. So before we get started, give us a brief overview of who you are in case people in the chat room don't know who you are.
Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Gerbic. I live in California, and I am what is known as a skeptical activist and a science communicator, science activist. I guess that's the easiest way of saying it. I specialize in a lot of different things, but I tend to gravitate towards those people who claim to be able to communicate to the dead. We call them grief vampires. I do a lot of investigating of that world and report back on it. I also run an international Wikipedia editing group that edits in multiple languages, not just English. And we are focused on all things concerning scientific skepticism, claims of the paranormal, and people of science. And we do this in multiple languages. And hi, Bob. We also have many other projects too that we do. There's a lot of things that I'm involved in. I run a nonprofit called About Time. And under that umbrella, we have many different little projects, facilitated communication, psychics, all kinds of things.
That's interesting. I love that facilitated the communication.
Yeah, that's a big pet peeve of ours. Yeah.
You actually spoke, or not you, but who spoke about it at CSICON?
So it's Janice Boynton.
Yes.
She's a very good friend of mine, and she is the expert on it. She runs a team of us, and I help form it, but she's mainly the lead on it. We call it True Voices, and we're trying to get rid of the teaching of facilitated communication in the universities here in the United States. Would you believe 30, 40 years later, after it's been debunked, it's still there, and it is being taught. It's kind of underground, and they keep changing the name of it, and you know, it's there's a lot of work to be done, put it that way, but Janice leads us in this project we're doing.
Very cool. All right, so let's jump in maybe from the beginning. Wikipedia.
Yes. It's 20 years old, so I'm told.
It's been one of them things where like over the years I've heard people like criticize Wikipedia, like, oh, it's just everyone can edit it. It's not reliable. It's this and that. But then I meet you and I realize like the work that you're doing with this, and realize like the sites that you guys work on are so detailed and well referenced and awesome. First question is, how did you get into that?
Well, I was looking for something to do. I'm not an academic, and I'm a portrait photographer. You and I have that in common. We're both photographers. I worked in retail for 34 years. I photographed zillions of babies and young people. So I was looking for something, and I was on a skeptic camp that was on a cruise with James Randi and James Randi Educational Foundation, and a man on the cruise named Tim Farley, who had the website called whatstheharm.net.
Yes.
And Tim was an avid Wikipedia editor. This is back in about 2009. Yeah, 2010. So he was advocating for all skeptics to be editing Wikipedia. And he was telling people, edit Wikipedia. And he gave all the reasons why. And he says, this is one of the #1 sites. This is where we get really good evidence. The rules gravitate towards skepticism because you have to have citations for everything. And he was calling out for people to do this. And I am not necessarily a techie, though I am becoming one slowly but surely. And so I waited a while and finally just tried to learn how to edit. And I almost got banned. It was awful. There's no training. There's no mentoring. It's a mess to be a Wikipedia editor. And so that's why I got involved in editing Wikipedia, because he suggested it. And I just thought, oh, I can do this. I came in through the photography area because I had taken a photograph of Brian Dunning from Skeptoid.com.
Skeptoid.com.
Skeptoid.com. So I'd taken a picture of him on the cruise, and I thought, this is beautiful. It's a nice photo. I'm going to try to upload it to Wikimedia Commons, and then I'm going to try to add it to his Wikipedia page. And I did that, and I said, wow, this looks nice. And then I said, man, his Wikipedia page looks like crap. So I thought, I'll try to learn how to edit. I made a ton of mistakes. So what I did is eventually people started joining me because of this thing called Facebook. We started talking to each other. People I didn't really know started contacting me saying, I love this idea. What are you working on now? So I had to create training materials. I have a secret cabal now located privately on Facebook. We have all kinds of training in details of how to become a Wikipedia editor. And really, it's the only training that I've ever heard of that people can do. And so we interact with each other on Facebook, on this cabal. People are very friendly and fun. And we're changing the world one Wikipedia page at a time.
I like the training that you talk about, because I remember years ago, I went on to Wikipedia. I was like, all right, well, I didn't know the rules. I didn't know anything. I was like, I wonder if I can make my own page. And I started playing with it, and I was thoroughly confused. And I love tech stuff. I love doing all kinds of stuff like this. And I still was confused, and I looked up YouTube videos on how to do stuff. And I was like, all right, this is like all over the place, but there's no formal training. There's nothing that you can do. So what kind of training is there? What do you do? How do you train people?
Okay, well, I train because I created all the training material, and it's all the training material that I wish I had. And of course, I'm not, like I said, I'm no academic or nothing like that. So it's basic stuff. And we start off with, making your user account and learning how to use commands on the keyboard, like Control F, Control C, Control X, Control, those things that you use constantly on Wikipedia to edit. So we start with all kinds of little things like that. Then we move into, here's a bunch of photographs that have been uploaded by photographers. I want you to take this photograph and put it on the Wikipedia page it belongs to. I have a spreadsheet that's just photographs. And they do that. And there's instructions on how to do it. And there are visual instructions, which is one of the things I found that Wikipedia even when you do find instructions on how to do something, it's text heavy. It's like a wall of text, and I can't grasp that at all. So I created screenshots or videos of me doing it. And I always keep it very ridiculous and simple. I use very simple terms. I don't say like use the tilde on your keyboard, because a lot of people don't know what a tilde is. So I will say it's the little line that goes like this, it wiggles like a worm, and it's above your tab key under its that's your tilde. It's kind of crunchy. And we use that a lot for a lot of different things in editing. But I keep myself very like just above a trained person in because you can slip very quickly into Wikipedia speak, and a lot of editors do. And they have this whole language, and it's very intimidating. I have trained so many people, and they come through the training and they are amazing. Some of them are like very IT heavy. Okay. And anybody who knows IT can code and get in there. And man, let me tell you, they pick it up really quick. But their stuff, if they don't have formal training, they're deleted because they don't understand the concepts of what is considered reliable, what is considered notable, what the aesthetics of adding a photograph, all sorts of stuff like that. You can't have. There's a lot going on in the mindset of my team that is not just code. We have tons of different. Adding audio to Wikipedia pages, to making the perfect lead, because that's the first few sentences in a Wikipedia page that most people read. Mm-hmm. How do you make that just so that if somebody comes in and reads just the lead, they can leave knowing a lot? There's short descriptions you put in, like if you're typing and you want to have, and it's, how when you type something in your phone and it comes up and it has just the do you mean the social scientist so-and-so born in 1856 or whatever, that is written by somebody on our team, just this little code that will pop up and it'll say it's, maybe half a sentence. There's lots. And then there's a lot of people on our team that are really good at understanding the concepts behind what we're trying to do, but they have no clue how to code. And those are those people who are learning how to use the keyboard correctly. And so everybody has to train, and I don't care how tech they are. Everybody goes through training, and everybody I train, even if they're not in English. It's a struggle if it's somebody who doesn't have. You have to have well enough English skills. Right. We've translated some of the training into other languages, but you still have to manage. And I do a lot of it over Facebook Messenger. I love Messenger, and people contact me all the time. I'll probably get 4 or 5 messages while we're here, but everything's turned off, so you can't hear any beeping or anything like that, but I'll see it on my other monitor. But yeah, most people, there's a lot of conspiracy theories behind Wikipedia, and they're common. Like I just saw a comment come up a minute ago that teachers are like, you can't use Wikipedia. Oh my God, if I heard that statement one more time, or if I had $1 for every time I heard it that you can't use Wikipedia, wow, my house would be paid off. The point is, yes, you are not allowed to copy and paste off of Wikipedia for anything, but guess what? They're going to Wikipedia. You better believe they're using Wikipedia, and the media uses Wikipedia. The governmental agencies, your next door neighbor, almost everybody uses Wikipedia. And if you don't actually go to Wikipedia, you're probably getting a lot of content in a Google knowledge, what are they called? Google bar. When you Google something, and on the right-hand side of the screen, it comes up a little bar.
The Google Scholar.
Yeah, that is pulling most likely from a Wikipedia page. Also, Alexa, a lot of those things. Yeah. If you say, who is so-and-so, it's going to probably start to read off the Wikipedia page to you. The media is almost quoting from it directly in a lot of cases. We see obituaries where they've copied and pasted our content. So the point is, they're going to Wikipedia. So let's make damn sure that the content they're getting is the best content they can get. Right. And we have to make sure that we're retraining people to say, yes, start with Wikipedia, and then go to the citations and understand the concepts and follow them.
That's what I do.
But don't quote Wikipedia. I mean, my goodness.
I mean, I use it. I use it almost every article that I've written. I use it where I go there and it gives you a good overview of the topic. And then I go to all the citations. I look at them and I go to the original sources because I mean, Wikipedia is great as that starting point.
Yes.
You know, and it's pulling from all these sources. And for me, I always want to go to original sources. So when I go to a page, a Wikipedia page, I don't know, like one on maybe spirit photography that might have just come out. And I look and see there's like 30 or 40 or 50 references. It's like, holy shit, that's awesome. Like that almost one-stop shopping for me. Yeah. And I can go to all these sources. So I get it. I get it when, and I think in the beginning, when I first asked you this question, the comment that came up about teachers not allowing the use of Wikipedia, that's kind of where I was going with it, because I have heard people, and they still say it sometimes, where like, don't trust Wikipedia, but
you can. And like Bob just said, he uses Wikipedia. It is very easy for let's say a teacher's going to have a concept of that's kind of, well, right now teachers are teaching over Zoom, right? And a lot of kids don't have textbooks and things like that. So a teacher, before they discuss human rights or some sort of I'll tell you, John, some sort of before they take on a big subject, let's say they're going to discuss the Civil War, I don't know, something like that, they could assign Wikipedia to give the child overview, because a lot of times the kids don't have textbooks and that kind of thing. And instead of assigning them just specifically, I want you to go to Wikipedia and just read all about the Civil War, the teacher can assign URLs. You would go in, you'd hit history, you'd click on the top URL and you'd save it and you would assign that to the student. And the teacher could have pre-read the page and said, this looks good. This looks great. Everything on here looks good. I'm happy with everything on here. And then assign, who are the different generals, who were, all the different concepts you want the student to know to be able to bring it into their knowledge, just background knowledge. So you can go in and pretty much freeze a page that a teacher has pre-checked to make sure it's what they feel is good, and then assign it. So it's like a, how do I say it? Not a syllabus. What am I trying to say? Like assigning homework. Just read this and understand it. And then the kids can pull up and go to the concepts. And if they don't understand antebellum or I don't know, they can click on it. Or what is the plantation? They can click on it and then they can get another page and they can go into the rabbit hole and they'll end up in Egypt or something.
They can end up like us, where we're reading and like,
who knows what.
Hours later, we finally come up for air.
I love it. It's fantastic. But there is some real crap on Wikipedia. And that's one of the things my team does is they find it and then they repair it. They fix it. They rewrite it. They maintain it. It's a love. It really is. It's a love for preserving history. And I'm really big on photos and video and audio being on the Wikipedia pages because I think it's good for students to have a good visual. The spirit photography page that Adrian just finished has got some beautiful images on it. And, it's all so important. It's important. This is, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine the world that I would have had if I had had Wikipedia when I was a child. Oh, yeah. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's something that is so crazy, absolutely insane, and should never have worked. And yet it does.
It does. So before I move on to another question, I want to get to John's question that he put up. There you go. Thank you, Donna, producer. I appreciate that. I love having it like hands free almost. So John wants to know how he can volunteer his time. So what's the easy process?
Message me on Facebook. I need your email and I need your Wikipedia username. So you have to create an account if you don't already have one. You will be assigned a pre-training exercise. It takes 2 hours. It's not difficult, but it's some assignments, some small things you have to do. You have some reading to do. By the time you're finished with that, you will have decided if this is for you or if this is not your style, this is not your thing. And then you report back to me when you're done with it, and you let me know. You say, hey, I loved it. That was fantastic. I loved it. Or you're like, oh my gosh, this is just way too basic for me, or too complicated, or whatever. Or I feel like I don't have the time. And then you pass a pre-training. And if you do, then what will happen is I look over your work, and then I put you into the secret cabal. I assign you a Google spreadsheet that has all the documents on it that you need to finish training. And you can finish training within 4 months. No, within 2 months. I've forgotten now. I want it done within 4 months, but it would take you about 2 months at a regular pace. It's kind of like taking a undergraduate class that you enjoy, maybe like I don't know, some kind of class that you would enjoy, and that you get to hang out with peers virtually on Facebook. And everything does happen in a secret cabal, so do not approach me if you're not on Facebook. Some people on my team don't like Facebook, but they're on it, and they only use it for the Wikipedia team. So that's how you do it. And I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of links to find for my Wikipedia project. We do have a website and so on. The reason why I'm not going to give you links and everything is because I don't want to hold your hand. If you want to join, then contact me on Facebook Messenger, because I'm looking for people who are okay with being self-starters and figuring it out. Oh, Adrian's here.
Hey, Adrian.
Adrian did a lot of work with going in and fixing, cleaning up the training, because as I said, I made the training, but then every time people go through training, if they're confused, or if they say, this seems to be dated, it's changed now, then I tell them, well, let's change the darn thing. And Adrian just maybe a few months ago, gosh, with this pandemic, I don't know, time,
Yeah.
A year ago, could have been 3 days ago. Adrian went in and she did a lot of cleaning up of making better screenshots and fixing my verbiage and stuff like that. So it's a collective, we're right. A team. I started it and I run it and I train it. I'm the lead trainer, but I'm definitely not the whole team. There's a lot of inside stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot in the background that goes on.
But it really is fun, and I'm sure Adrian would tell you the same thing. It's a blast.
So when people do, say John, does this assignment and stuff, is it like, does he get assignments all the time, or can he pick the pages that he wants to focus on?
Oh, that's a good question. So when you're going through training, which should take you about 2 to 2.5 months, some people do it, way faster. So, okay, hey, Bob. So what we do is when you're going through training, I make you do certain assignments. Like I will say, Kenny, for example, here's a good example. One thing that I created was something called backwards editing, which means that you take a site, you take an article that's already well done, something like you've created for Zach Baggins.
Yeah, Mr.
So when you
Baggins.
create a Wikipedia page for Zach Baggins, No. When you write an article about an investigation about something at Zach Baggins related, or one of the things he has, like what was that box, that square box?
The Dybbuk box.
Yeah, okay. Yes. So when you wrote the Wikipedia, when you wrote the article about that box, you published it on Skeptical Inquirer, which is a notable source. It is a reliable source. We can use that. So when you published it, then it becomes something that can be used on a Wikipedia page concerning that box. So I have a spreadsheet, and part of the training is that I just keep putting articles on that spreadsheet, just one after another. And some of them are videos that can be used as reliable sources. Some are articles from like science-based medicine, Harriet Hall or David Gorski or Steve Novella or whatever. Those people are also notable, and they publish in a notable place. I mean, because you can't just put anything on Wikipedia. So then my team will go over there, and they will, like one of the assignments is they have to select 3, and they have to go one at a time, and they have to make the citation on the Wikipedia page and add your box to the, add the box to your Wikipedia page. So that's an assignment that they have to do. It teaches them how to mine a article, like in Skeptical Inquirer.
Okay.
They have to look at the article and then they have to go, how can I use this content on a Wikipedia page and cite it correctly? And everything's checked. Those are assignments. The final thing, you go through all the different things. It's a secret rule. So you have to go through all these things. Like I make you add, Adrian will help me here in a minute because it's losing my mind. But there's all kinds of things you're taught. You're not taught in so much detail that you're overwhelmed with it.
Okay.
But like I will say with the photographs, I want the photographs to be added in a gallery format. So it's this nice long thing with looks really nice on the Wikipedia page, and I want you to do that. You have to do that. So that's your task. And there's some other too technical probably to explain here. Then your final project, you're given a spreadsheet with a ton of names and projects on it. And a lot of them are biographies, but they're existing Wikipedia pages that are not, that are badly written, that are not in good shape. And Adrian had written, Adrian will correct me if I'm wrong, she did Haunted House. That was in not great shape. The Haunted House page needed a good cleaning. She had to clean out that haunted house. And so when she took on that task, she had to go through and relook at the citations, look for new citations, clean it, just really go through. And then she does that with me. That's one of the things I do, is really go with them and through the whole project. And then when it's done, there you go, haunted house. So when it's done, it should be in great shape. Then she gives it to the cabal, and the cabal goes through and says, oh, you didn't do this right, or fix this. I mean, they're very kind. Everybody's kind, but there's a lot of feedback. And then when she's done with that, then she's finished with her training. More or less, that's how it happens. And then once you're finished with your training, hopefully throughout the time you're learning, you've kind of picked up an expertise or things you like. You know, you say, I love biographies. I want to do more biographies. Or maybe your focus is on vaccines, or maybe it's chemistry, or it's another language, or maybe you like broad stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, here's a
question.
Yeah, I'll answer it in a second, JD.
Okay.
So what happens is that you start making your own decisions once you finish training, but I lead you through training because I need you to stay focused, and I need you to complete the tasks pretty much in order, so that when you're finished training, you are a well-rounded, well-trained editor, and not just somebody who's totally focused on one thing. I don't let anybody edit anything that's contentious, anything that's a problem, nothing like that. Nobody's allowed to edit anything like homeopathy or Jesus Christ or anything like that until you're completely done with training and I feel comfortable and you feel comfortable that you can handle yourself. And then the cabal's got your back. But for the most part, we don't want anybody getting into any kind of altercations on Wikipedia.
Right.
So you get to decide what you're going to do. Like I said, some people just want to just add photos. Some people like to just work on locations. They go through and do museums. Some like to create new pages. Some people like to repair badly written pages. How long is the ball of string? You know,
that's
whatever.
And I guess, you know, you also want to make sure that you're putting out good content, because
absolutely we have a reputation.
Yeah.
We cannot have, I every time we release a new Wikipedia page, I put it up in multiple places for people to look at. And that's my way of saying, you know, we're throwing it to the wind. So if somebody wants to edit it after we finished our work on it, go for it. Right. And we're proud to do that. So going to what JD is saying is that, like Zach Baggins. So I get the question a lot, is there edit wars and all that? And the answer is no. We get very few pushback. Most people Most Wikipedia editors are skeptical editors that follow the rules. They don't necessarily identify themselves as skeptics, but they are skeptical focused because everything has to have a citation. The rules are just in that way. So for the most part, we're able to walk away from a page that we've edited, like the haunted house page. Adrian has moved on to something else, and who knows where she's at now. But if somebody comes in and changes it, she can see that it's been changed, and she can go and look and say, I don't think so. Or she can say, oh, those are awesome changes. She doesn't have to approve anything because once the page is live, it's live.
Okay.
But most editors handle any vandalism that happens. So if somebody says, I don't like let's say Zach comes in and says, I don't like what you did, and he wipes out sections of it, it'll be put back in probably in seconds, and his account would probably be banned because it's not allowed. So there's almost no pushback. We get very little, and we wouldn't probably edit a page like astrology or Scientology or Mormonism, because those pages are already really well written and they're pretty locked, Okay.
So what about if you get, I don't know, say a psychic that comes along and doesn't like her page, that you've written or rewritten about her, and there are somebody, we'll just leave it up like that. Somebody makes changes to the page, deleting current information. Like you updated it because of, again, you went back to like notable sources that reported on stuff that's this psychic did.
You afraid to say the name? Come on, Kim.
Oh, hell no.
She's not going to.
No. There is no fear on this show.
I'm not proud of it. I don't care.
Fear does not exist in this dojo.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm not
So Jeanette Wilson is a psychic that she has a Wikipedia page, and there was a lot of information that was updated after one of your sting operations. And I remember hearing that there was a little bit of a war or something going back because there were changes that were made that were somebody else or herself. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So Jeanette Wilson is a psychic healer who's a COVID denier, anti-5G. She believes in space orbs or ghost orbs. And you wrote a really wonderful, and that was a fabulous article, by the way, Kenny. So what happens is that I recorded an interaction with her where she was talking about how she's anti-vaccine, and I gave all the information to a New Zealand journalist, and he ended up doing a scathing article on her. And so what happened is that we were able to add it to the Wikipedia page, what the journalist says, a Wikipedia page that my team created, by the way, for the full purpose of this reason, is so that we could have put information onto a place where people could find it, a one-stop shop. And your article got on there and everything as well. Well, she found out that she had a Wikipedia page somehow. I doubt it was because she's psychic, but she found that there was a Wikipedia page, and she went in and started trying to wipe it out. She had like just a fit, like a toddler. She created an account called Peace 1111. And she totally admitted it was her. She went into the talk page and was like, this has got to go. It's all scandalous and it's all this and it's all that. So she was wiping stuff out. But my team just were like, oh, this is great. Let's watch. Let's see what happens. And then other editors that we have no contact with, they were just people that are editors, general editors, came in and were trying to explain it to her and adding it back in and going, it doesn't work that way. If you have a complaint, here's the place to complain to. And they were saying, we're reading over these sources, and these are all notable sources. This is an actual journalist with working for a company that is, that's got integrity and everything. And you can't just wipe this out. And so she was just getting mad and frustrated. And so it went back and forth for a few days. And then she finally just had a tantrum and she's gone, who knows where. But I think there was just too much, she couldn't do it. And I think that some people just don't understand, there's some people who are in the world of paranormal that are frauds and cons, that are damn well know they're frauds and cons. And there's other people, and there's other people I think that maybe are somewhere in between, and they believe some of the stuff they can do. And so they're really bad at understanding rules, evidence, what is a citation, what is an anecdote. And they're often thrown out of Wikipedia in seconds because they just can't get it. They just can't understand this idea that somebody can write something negative about me and it could be used on a Wikipedia page. How is that even possible? It's like, well, if it's true and if it's cited and the person who's writing it is somebody has, we call it journalistic integrity, which is another way of saying reliable source. We can't use a blog or a website or anything like that. But if it's, going through an editor and it's like a newspaper or something like that, there's accountability for that. So it's not this fake news stuff. That doesn't pass.
Right.
Places that are fake news, like the Daily Mail, Breitbart, and those kind of things, they can't be used. They're just banned on Wikipedia. So it's not like you can put something like that on.
Can you edit your own page?
If you're an academic or a scientist or somebody who has a Wikipedia page, you can edit your own Wikipedia page. It is frowned upon. Possibly, like maybe if you went in and said, I really hate this photograph of myself, I'm going to upload a new photograph and then put it on the page, nobody's going to complain. If you were to change that you're no longer working from one university, now you're working for another university, you use the correct citation, nobody's going to care. If you're going in and doing major work, then the best thing to do is to look at the talk page, which is on the upper left-hand corner of every Wikipedia page. It says talk. Most people have never seen that before.
There it is.
Always been there. And you could go in there and you can make a post and say, I am this person, I am this scientist or whatever. And I really don't, I don't like what you've written or how it's written, this part right here. It's just whatever the reason is.
Right.
Like maybe I'm no longer with that organization, or I'm working on this other project now, or I have a new book out. Can somebody put it on my Wikipedia page? And when some editor finds it, almost every time somebody's going to be like totally gracious and say, thank you for asking. Here, I'll do it. And by the way, your photograph is really outdated. Do you have something else? Because they have to upload the photo. The owner of the photograph uploads the photo.
Yes.
I can't take something off the internet. So, so the best thing somebody could do is, if their Wikipedia page is not in great shape and they're involved in science, scientific skepticism, paranormal, is to get a hold of the GSoW, and we'll look at it and fix it and assign somebody to you. Okay.
So John,
we'll do it right.
John Kennedy had a follow-up question for that's your cue. There you go. The time it takes to complete, is that a continuous 2 months, or is this something that can be done at our own pace?
You can do it at your own pace. It's about 2 months worth of work if you just are working at a regular, just normal pace. I've had people do it in 3 days. So it's possible if you just are that type of person. It's not hard, especially if you have tech skills. Maybe wrapping around some of the concepts might be a little bit. But it is done. You're given the Google Sheet and you work at your own pace. But if you aren't editing after a while and you're not moving through the lessons, I'm going to start nagging you, and I will kick people out. And I do all the time, is I'll kick people out because I'll say, you're not
serious about
I
that.
can see on your Facebook page that you're putting up Candy Crush videos and taking, what's your favorite Disney princess quiz, and you're not getting your assignments done. So you have, tell me what's going on. Are you hating this and you don't want to tell me you hate it? Or are you just obsessed with Disney princesses and really want to know which one you are, or Harry Potter house you belong to? My point is,
Gryffindor.
I'm a Hufflepuff. But and I didn't have to take a test to know that. I just know it. So I'm a doer. That's why I think I'm the most powerful of all of them. The point is that it really is kind of hard to take some of the lessons and then wait 3 weeks and do the next one. Everything kind of flows together. And if you don't kind of do it in a continuous with a few days, maybe max in between, then you're probably going to have to go back and redo some of the stuff. And then you'll end up finding you're taking longer.
Okay.
But everybody learns differently. So it doesn't matter to me how you do it as long as you get through it. And I'm always around to answer questions if you have any, or the other team members will.
You're always around. Every time I send you a message, boom.
You know what the key is that everything is turned off. I have no sounds. There's no beeps, no bops, no nothing on no vibrations on any of my devices. So I feel like I look at my screens more often. I'll glance at my phone more often. I don't know why. Okay, let's see. Do you know if I could afford? I go, hiring. You ready for me to take that question?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So you're not supposed to hire anybody to edit your Wikipedia page. In fact, it's kind of a scam. It's a lot of blackmail involved. So what happens is you see, and we've been around this a few times, so we know what we're speaking about. Somebody will write to me nearly in tears, some academic kind of person who said, "Oh my gosh, I've gotten myself way over my head. I paid somebody, I went onto Craigslist or whatever. I paid somebody $20 to add a URL to my website or a new picture, to my Wikipedia page or a new photo or whatever. And what happens, this is great. There's scams everywhere. People are just ingenious. So what happens is the person makes the edit, they add the URL or change the photo or update it or whatever needs to be done for like $20. And then a few days later, another account comes along and removes it and then puts your Wikipedia page up for deletion. Because there's a way of saying, I'm going to delete your Wikipedia page.
Right.
Most of these pages are not in really good shape. That's why the editor is trying. That's why the target, we call them targets, the academic or scientist. That's why the target's asking to have something added to their page. And so they say, I'm going to put it up for deletion. And then the first account comes back and says, I see somebody's put your page up for deletion. I can do that. I can fix it so it isn't deletable. And I can take care of all this for you. But it's a lot of work and it's going to cost some time and money.
There you go.
And now this academic is paying this guy. It could be the same guy, just using two different accounts.
Right. And
the academic doesn't know, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're over their head. It's like a bad contractor or something that's, like, I'll come up and I'll fix your roof for $100 and put the shingles back on. And what they do is they gouge a hole in it. And then, some other contractor goes along and says, hey, that guy, Joe, he's not so great. Let me check out oh my gosh, there's a hole in here. I can fix that. And then, that's how it is. Right. And so if you pay somebody, also some companies pay to get somebody to do it, but it's emotional. It's like a blackmail, because if it's found out that you had to hire somebody to edit your Wikipedia page, it's pretty damn embarrassing. And every edit that is made is public. You can't hide your edits. So everything's there. It's called history. It's in the upper right-hand corner of a Wikipedia page. Every edit that's ever made, the date, the time, the account that did it, or their IP address, which we can search to see where they are.
Let's see.
You can't so everything's there. I could go back 2 years, 5 years, 100 years, well, not 100 years, but up to 20 years. And you can see all the edits that are made. You can see what other contributions the person's made. It's a whole world of confusion to somebody who's not really understanding. So becoming a paid editor or editing for paid, editing for pay or hiring somebody, it's fraught with all kinds of problems. And I tell somebody, just run away.
Run away.
Run away.
Run away.
Not something to get involved in. But these are all things that people don't know. And then, like I said, there's all kinds of conspiracies. I hear from people on the left. Yeah, I got to get this right. I got to get this correct. So I've had people on the left go on and on about, they would go their head like this. Oh, they have deleted my page, or the work we've done, or they've silenced us. The police have done this, or the Republicans have done this. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm looking right at it. Your page was deleted because it's crap and because you didn't have any good citations and it's not notable. Just tons of stuff they just throw at me. They just say, oh, well, it's because Wikipedia doesn't like whatever topic it is, like ghost hunters or whatever. It's like, no, there's rules, and we didn't, it wasn't done right.
Another question from Bob. What is your expectation of your cabal? Do you require them to edit, clean up?
Nope. I want them to be active. Some of my editors, all they do is they stay in the cabal, and when a new editor says, I've got this page I've got to have looked over, they paste the URL in the cabal, and people just go through it and make sure and make suggestions. That's all they do.
Okay.
Or they say, here's how I handled that situation when years ago. I like people to be actually actively working and fixing pages and doing stuff all the time. I want people to quit your job and just spend, 24 hours a day doing this. That's what I want. But, some people who do this are doing it like a few months a year whenever they're maybe not in school or they're not teaching, or I've had a lot of people who are back in the day when we could travel. They would go. We have a couple pilots. They would go somewhere, and then they're stuck in a hotel, and you're jet lagged or whatever. And so they would edit because, after you've been to Singapore like 30 times and you're just a pilot waiting for the next day to fly out, and how many times, you're watching TV forever and ever. So what they'll just sit down and edit Wikipedia. So it's like doing crossword puzzles, I guess. Or,
it becomes a hobby.
It's a hobby. It really is. And you're really helping people, and you're in a cabal with like-minded people. So it's kind of a social thing. We've had people during this pandemic. I have one editor I was really excited about, because what he was doing is improving Wikipedia pages he thought kids in middle school would be using for their work, all in his area, which was fish related, aquariums and stuff like that. And he was doing it in Spanish. So it was real fun, because he's like thinking, think of all these kids that are reading this Wikipedia page right now and they're using it for their homework assignments. But he was making sure he had video, he had nice photos, and it was written in a way that people could understand it. We write for like a high school level, more or less. That's kind of where we're looking for it.
Right.
We don't want to be too academic. So there is no criteria, but if I see that you're really not participating and you don't have a reason for it, like, you're now taking care of your parents, or have been ill, or you just bought a house, if you don't have a really good reason, then I'm going to ask you probably to leave, because I just don't like to have people like lingering around saying I'm GSoW when you're not GSoW. So there's two things. If you're in training and you cannot get through training and you don't have a good reason, well, then you probably will have to leave. If you finish training and you are just for whatever reason not participating, I'll probably keep you in. It just kind of depends.
Right.
Most people stay. I'm not a hard nose about it, but I really, since I'm so active, I like to see other people active. At least when we welcome new people to the group, please just come in and welcome to the new group and say, hey, congratulations on becoming a new editor, and, glad to see you're here, and whatever. I like that.
So in respects to how you're changing the world and how you're making an impact, what sort of impact through the pages that you guys edit or write completely, what kind of impact is there?
That's a great question. Let me pull up a spreadsheet.
I like answering or asking great questions.
It is really a great question, Kenny, because I love spreadsheets. I use Google spreadsheets all the time. So we just created so we keep track of all the Wikipedia pages that we have written or completely rewritten. Okay. Not things we've just edited, but things we have completely written. Like the haunted house page would become one of ours. We would call it ours. Not that it really is ours, because anybody can edit it, but we had a lot to do with it. So today, Adrian just published Spirit Photography. Yesterday, Rob Palmer put up a Wikipedia page on America's frontline doctors. We've been focusing a lot on vaccines.
Okay.
All kinds of things to deal with vaccines. And then
got my first shot Thursday.
I saw that on Facebook. You know what? It made me smile so much. I'm so happy. I'm okay here. I'd like to have my vaccine, but I'm okay with other people going ahead of me as long as I'm in the line. So going back to how many pages, we've written 1,618 pages.
Wow.
Written or rewritten. Those are in multiple languages. I did check into to see how many were non-English, and we're about 45% are non-English.
So that number, that total number, does that include the same page in different languages as one, or?
Yeah, if we write a Wikipedia page in multiple languages, like, I don't know, do you know Leo Igwe from? Yeah. So we've written this page in multiple languages. It's written in English, it's written in German, it's written in Spanish, French. So those are 4 pages.
Okay.
Because they're 4 different pages.
Language, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 4 different languages. So now if you were to take that 1,600, and actually I can't count the last 2 because they haven't loaded to my thing. So if we were to take 1,616 pages,
okay,
and put them in a tracking thing that was created for me by data skeptic Kyle Polish. Ooh. He made software for me. I loved Kyle. And what if you were to put them in and you could look at views, because that's all we can see is how many times a Wikipedia page has been accessed. We can't tell how long a person's on the page. We can't tell if they're a unique user, but we can tell they've been looked at. And we're at 79,187,394 pages.
Wow.
Views. We're just about to hit 80 million page views. We have, we're at about 340,000 page views a week. And our biggest hitters, I can also do things with it to see how many pages are in Spanish, how many pages are on vaccines, how many pages are on UFOs, or, I can sort it.
Right.
And I have, let me look here real quick. So our biggest hitter in the last 7 days is a Spanish page that has to do with antibiotics that one of my team members rewrote. And that's getting, I think, 3,000. Yeah, it's 12,000 page views in this last week.
12,000.
Yeah, Tyler Henry, the psychic, he's got 10,000 page views this week. Blue Whale Challenge, 10,000. There are all kinds of different things. Demonic Possession, that page has got 4,000 page views this week. Spontaneous Human Combustion is always one of our top viewed pages. That's been viewed 3 million times since we rewrote it.
That's how you got into this, right?
Yeah, Spontaneous Human Combustion was my scary, frightening thing. But yeah, so we write things like we wrote the Netflix show Unorthodox.
Okay.
Scandalous Rejection of My Acidic Roots. Rob Palmer wrote the Wikipedia page for the book as well as for the author, and that is getting tons of views. The book has already been viewed 500,000 times. Chupacabra in Spanish, that's been viewed just over 1 million times.
Wow.
For the Spanish page. And then we do a lot of vaccine related things because it's like I said, it's really important. And there's a vaccine group out there. It's called Children's Health Defense. I'm looking at it right now. It's John F. Kennedy's. It's an anti-vax group.
Yeah.
But just judging from the name,
it sounds like it's helping kids.
It sounds legit. So people don't know. So one of my editors, Robin Canton, in Montreal, he likes to do a lot of these kinds of things, vaccine related. So he wrote that Wikipedia page so that we can make sure that people are, when you Google it, it's one of the top results you get, and people will be able to know that it's anti-vax. And that page has been viewed since he created it. I just saw it here a second ago. 105,000 times. So, dried cat. Hey, dried cat. There's a Wikipedia page called Dried Cat.
Dried cat, like a dead, dried out carcass of a cat.
Yeah. So we rewrote that Wikipedia page. It's already been viewed 36,000 times. There's some bizarre
what I gotta look it up now.
Ben Radford's going, well, duh, Kenny, come on.
Shut up, Ben.
In some cultures, dried cat is you dry a cat and you put it in the wall, and it'll bring good luck to the house, or you'll hang it up over the. So it's a like a superstition.
Wow. And there's 16 citations on it. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
Now I'm going to read this.
Yeah, well, there's tons of stuff. I mean, we've written. People write about what they feel passionate about, or what they want to learn about, or what their expertise is. Some of my editors pick something they know nothing about, and that's fun. I'm getting an echo.
And that's. You still hear it?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm getting an echo.
Okay.
I think it's gone now. Echo.
Right.
Echo.
I mean, that's the beauty of it. And I think I might have touched on it when I was talking to Adrian, because we were talking a little bit over the last couple of weeks when she was writing the 2 pages, the haunted house one, going back and just talking about like writing about what we love and just not only that, but getting into something where you're not familiar with it. And that's something I've learned over the years, like just investigating the different cases, whether it's ghosts or UFOs or Bigfoot or other kind of mysteries, conspiracy theories. You go down these paths where it's like, I had no freaking clue this ever existed.
Right.
And it's amazing to me because I love to learn. I absolutely love to learn about new things. So, yeah, I mean, when we talk about the rabbit hole, I can sit here, right here, and have all 3 screens going, just totally absorbed in what I'm doing. And like, there goes my weekend.
Absolutely. And that's why you need a manager like me, because I'm a nag and I am on these people all the time. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you still doing that? Well, I've got 5 more, journal articles I want to add to this page. I'm like, no, you're done. The joke is, I'll send a picture of a fork. And I'll say, put a fork in it, you're done. Because, it's like they'll do it until they feel like they've gone to the farthest reaches of the world. They're like writing a book on a Wikipedia page. It's like, no, this is a general overview. So you are done.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we would have to publish this now. We're publishing it now. It's done. And we could always add to it if we need to. You don't have to finish everything you could do. So that's why it helps to have somebody mentoring you and guiding you through, because otherwise you can either find yourself overwhelmed. Some of my editors do. They feel like, oh my gosh, they look at a perfect page and they say, that is amazing. And then they think to themselves, I could never do that. And you never know. It's done in steps, right? It's not done just.
It's all in steps. It's a learning process. I felt the same way. I would read stuff from Joe Nickell and Ben Radford and think, I could never do that. I can't write like that. And I kept doing it until, here I am. I'm writing and I'm getting. Donna's giving you a thumbs up on the side. It will happen.
We were just talking about it earlier this morning. That's really funny.
I have one in African, right?
Afrikaans.
Africa. How do you say it?
Afrikaans.
Afrikaan.
It's a language of South Africa.
Okay.
It's, very close to Dutch from the Netherlands. Yeah. So you do have a Wikipedia.
So I do have a African Wikipedia page.
South Africa.
Afrikaans. So I have to put a emphasis. It's my Philly accent. Afrikaan. Am I saying it wrong? Afrikaans.
No, that's right.
Afrikaans. All right. Just making
you better
sure.
Get that down, Kenny, because you do have a Wikipedia page in Afrikaans.
I'm making sure. I'm checking with my producer. Making sure that I have it.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I just we have to have 1 or 2 totally different sources besides the New York Times article already we have. But it's on our mind. Do not worry. It will happen.
I'm not worried.
It's going to happen. No, it will.
This is a passion. This is, I tell everyone when I talk to them.
It's important to us and the community. I don't care what the heck you want. It is important to our community that you have a Wikipedia page. That's it. I don't care about what you think. That's how it is. No, hell with it. Because when you have a Wikipedia page that's well written and strong, it makes our whole community stronger, and you can do more with your voice. When you have a Wikipedia page, you have more power of. So it's not important. what you think or what you care about like that. It's just going to happen. It will happen.
It will happen.
You have to make sure it's done in a way that it can't be deleted.
I was very happy with the one that Rob Palmer did. And
I was,
damn.
It came out at a time that was not good because we were under attack for, there was some vigilante kind of editors on Wikipedia that were really, really upset that we were,
editing.
No. They're very supportive of us, but when you're to prove notability on a person like a skeptic, it's not as easy to prove it because the standards of how they've written the notability standards. Like if you're a baseball player, if you were on the field once as a professional baseball player, you'd have a Wikipedia page with like one citation. But that's the way they've written the standards for sports figures. If you're a musician, there's other standards that you have to do. If you're an academic, then it's based on how many times your academic work has been cited. There's a criteria. But for people in our community, especially people who aren't scientists, it's not as easy because the criteria is a high level. So we've been trying to fight that to get more people Wikipedia pages within our community, but sometimes we push it a little hard when they're on the fringe, right on the fence, and that's what happened to you. And so it just got to a point where we were pushing a little too hard. We probably should have backed off for a little bit, and all the code is still there. We have everything, and we could just resurface it. But when we resurface it, it has to be, I don't want to have the go ahead on it until I have one or two more sources that are not around yet. We'll have to talk later, but it's going to happen.
I'm working on it.
There's a lot of things still coming up, Kitty.
Yeah,
you're a CSI Fellow now.
Damn right I am. Look at that shit. Boom, baby.
Mine's over here.
I freaking love this thing.
So there's a lot of things that still are to come, but we have to follow the rules because the rules are the same in our community as in the paranormal community as in everything else. So, I'll tell you a really quick story on notability if you want. It's kind of chisme. It's kind of gossip.
Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, I love gossip. Go ahead.
Okay. So don't let this go further, you guys. So,
I like how your voice got down, like you're kind of whispering.
So I'm trying to think of how to tell it without embarrassing the person. So there is a person who's prominent in sort of the fringe of our community, not somebody that you may know well. And he had a popular podcast, he had some books. I think they were self-published, I'm not sure. And he had a huge following. He's a name that people would probably recognize if I said it, but I'm not going to say it because I don't embarrass him. And he had a Wikipedia page that got deleted. And so people were really upset because they said, oh, they're just trying to sideline this community, this branch of our kind of skeptic community. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, it was just, he doesn't have enough notability. You need to have like, it's hard to explain, but it's not just blog views or podcast views or whatever. Like if Joe Rogan interviews you, then or Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, then that's enough to probably give you the notability. But he didn't have it. So I go to Australia in 2014 with Joe Nickell. And so I'm over there with Joe Nickell, and we're staying in the same hotel. And there outside of our hotel is a windmill. And Joe was told it was a haunted windmill. So he did this investigation on this windmill in Brisbane, Australia. And so he writes he writes an article about it in Skeptical Inquirer, this windmill, and about how it's not haunted and the history of it and, whatever. So I went to another conference a few years later, and I told Joe, so this guy who I'm talking about, who had his Wikipedia page deleted, he's walking in front of me. Hi, Susan, how you going? I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's great. And Joe Nickel comes up behind me. So the three of us are checking in at registration. We're kind of walking to our seats, and you're kind of just sitting down next to each other because you're just walking in together. So the guy sits behind me, and Joe Nickel and I sit next to each other. I said, hey, Joe, you know that haunted, non-haunted windmill that you wrote the article about? And he's like, yeah, in Brisbane, right? Yeah. I added it to its Wikipedia page. I took that haunted article you wrote and I wrote it to the Wikipedia page for the windmill. And the voice behind me goes, wait, what? There's a windmill in Australia that has a Wikipedia page and I can't have a Wikipedia page? And I was like, whoops, I guess I shouldn't have said that, because it was funny as heck, because you're like, absolutely, I guess so, because
wow,
structures and historical structures have a whole different notability.
Right.
And so, what are you going to do? Right. So it was funny. And we ended up getting his Wikipedia page eventually rewritten correctly, and it is there, and it's been translated in a couple languages. So it's all good now, but it was funny at the time. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
It's just between you, me, and Donna, because nobody.
There you go. Yeah, no one else is watching. Shh. All right, so we're into the second hour, and I want to switch gears a little bit here. Sure. And I mean, so if anyone is interested, I know I saw some comments in there that people are interested in joining.
I'm a Fright Master, you guys. I will own your soul. So think twice about running my project. Can I get my Jello? Is that okay?
Go ahead. You can do whatever you want. This is your show.
You guys. It's red. I don't know what flavor red is, but it is
Cherry.
Red.
Cherry, fruit punch.
That'd be an awesome astronaut.
So yeah, if anyone else is interested, and you want to join the Wikipedia stuff and get into it or see what's going on, send a message to Susan and
message.
Facebook message. Yeah, that's it.
Friend me.
And then go from there. Yeah. So switching gears. You all right?
I'm just switching my gears.
Switching gears. Here we go. Let's get into some grief vampires.
Oh my gosh. How in the heck are we going to do this in an hour?
We can do this.
4 more hours about Wikipedia.
We can do. How about I just give you a topic? I'll get up and walk away. You can just talk.
I'm too shy.
You can take it. You're too shy. Whatever. I've seen you get up on stage.
I'll put a hat on so that we can visually that I've.
There you go.
No. Kiora.
So, psychics, grief vampires, you have gotten into doing psychic stings, and that's one of the things that I would say that you're known for. Besides Wikipedia, you are known for your psychic stings.
I thought I was known for being a pain in the ass to everybody. I'm the one that's like,
I can relate to that.
Are you working on something? Can I help you? Can I? Did you have what you needed last week? I don't see it. I don't see it. Where is it?
I love when you send me a message like, "Hey, I need you to. Can you write an article about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can look at that." Oh, good.
You will do it right, and I know you're freaking busy, but it is important. I wouldn't ask you unless it was important.
And I love it. I love taking part because it's always something like bigger. It's not
we
just.
We didn't even show the spirit photography page.
Oh, we can show that.
Oh my gosh!
I can show that. Hold on.
Take my hat back off, put my glasses back on, and go back to the Wikipedia for the moment. So this spirit photography page, Adrienne just published today. She rewrote it. It was already written, and she just rewrote it.
Let me get the banner out of your face. There you go.
Anyway, so this Wikipedia page she rewrote and just published it today. And I said, oh, perfect timing because I'm going to be on Kenny's show tonight. And it fits exactly. And if you look at it, nobody sit there and read it right now because, come on.
Pay attention to the show.
Down and just look at, she's got, I think she added a lot more photos. See the gallery she put in there? See how nice that looks? So that's one of the first things you learn in training is how to put them neatly and find them and put them on and code it and so on. I'm huge on visual, and it's got lots of photographs. She's got it all beautifully cited. She's got articles on orbs.
Yep, right there.
I mean, there's going to be high school students copying and pasting this article starting already. So
I like this part right here where it says, according to Kenny Biddle and Joe Nickel. I like that.
And if you go down a little bit further to the references, this is what I was just mentioning, is that we can't do our work unless we have people like you and Joe Nickel and Brian Denning and Ben Radford and Massimo Polidoro writing and or researching. So when the more obscure you do, if you're listening to this and you're also a person like Kenny Biddle who does publish on these odd things, please write them in reliable sources like Skeptical Inquirer, and go to the Wikipedia page first and look and see what it says on the Wikipedia page. And if it's missing some content, something that is important to know, then put it in your article so that we can turn around and use your article to update the Wikipedia page. But look at those names on there. Look how many times Kenny Biddle's on there.
This is great. This is like a moment of pride to me because I can say, look, I'm number one, but also all of this is me.
Yeah.
And stuff that I've done, all these articles that I've done, which is great. I mean, I love this.
That's exactly what it is. If you look at the Zach backend pages, you'll see the same thing. We've added your content to a lot of different Wikipedia pages because whenever something's published on Skeptical Inquirer, I pull it off and I put it onto our spreadsheet that needs improvements, just backwards edited. And so you'll see if you go, do a Control F for Biddle.
So all right,
Jello, whatever, red stuff.
So 7 times I'm mentioned in this. With references, Biddle. Wow, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 references.
So that's why you have to have a Wikipedia page
of articles, and it's great because it goes into the plagiarism that I reported on.
I think I mentioned on this article too. Is there a Gerbic in there too?
Let me see.
I might be.
No.
Okay, because you had done that article. And you mentioned Mark Edward and we did a little blurb about going to his museum. And if you go to the doublet box or whatever it's called.
The Dybbuk box. Let's see. Dybbuk box. Showing results for Dybbuk box.
It's the first one right there.
Maybe. Wait a minute. Did I do it wrong?
Yeah, it's the first one. There it is. Up. Nope. Up. Nope. Up. Go back.
Ah. Going back.
Up, half an inch. No, down. Up, stop. Right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Isn't that what I clicked on?
Nope.
I thought, okay.
See the paranormal tag on the side? That's one of our hallmarks of GSoW. We've been there. It just gives you a visual. Very quickly, you understand that what you're looking at is a paranormal page. Rob Palmer loves doing these. And are you in there? You mentioned?
I don't think so. Nope.
I find that unusual.
I do too. Rob Palmer, get on that.
Yeah, get on it right now. So we'll have to take care of it. Maybe it's just still on the list. But there's other ones. My point is there's more.
Right. That's awesome though. I love that. It's great. It definitely is something like a proud moment for me because
I get
to contribute to this.
It is very important.
All right.
It's important work. People need to know this stuff. Okay. So we're going changing hats again?
We're going to change put your psychic, your
psychic
grief vampire hat on.
Vampire hat.
Oh my goodness. And he took the glasses off. Now you're serious. All right. So psychic stings.
Okay. So everybody has their own passion within the community, and mine happened to fall into grief vampires, and that's people who claim to be able to speak to the dead. They really irritate me. And also people who claim to be detectives, psychic detectives. God, they drive me crazy. So everybody has, different things piss people off. Facilitated communication is another one of my passions. But the speaking to the dead is a problem. So I don't know, Kenny. I think it's because I'm not really an academic.
Okay.
How do I say this? I approach things differently. So if you were, and I'm being generic about this, if you're an academic and you have a problem in front of you, you're more likely to probably write something like a book or a journal article.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that way. I'm more like, how can I make this happen without publishing a book or writing a scholarly journal article?
Right.
And then, of course, because of all the information about what's going on with Wikipedia, we know that Wikipedia is one of the number one sources where people are going to get information. And I could talk about psychics all day long to you and to your community. And they're like, yeah, we know a lot about them. That's interesting. Tell me another story. But I'm not getting outside of our choir. I'm not getting to the real people who are actually being harmed. And so when you have it on a Wikipedia page, then it's reaching beyond the choir, because people are looking up different psychics saying, oh, how old is Tyler Henry? Oh, isn't he cute? Let me Google him. And then they get the Wikipedia page. It's almost the first thing they get. And they get an eyeful. So John Edward, Sylvia Brown, and so on and so on and so on. So when I write articles, they tend to be kind of detailed, like yours, which are wonderful to use for Wikipedia because you give a lot of detail, not just generic thinking out of your head. You're like, here's what I found in the order I found it. Here's citations that show, and I'm backing myself up. So that's important because we can turn around and use that article on a Wikipedia page. Again, it's not opinion. It is, if it is opinion, it's opinion from people who are.
It's supported.
Who have expertise. Like if I started talking about, I don't know, like drones. Well, who gives a crap about my opinion of drones? I don't know anything about drones. I've never held a drone. I don't know anything about drones. So I can't write or publish anything on drones. Whereas if I'm writing something about a psychic, that's my expertise. I'm an expert on psychics, especially hot readers, which are those people who look like they're getting information from sources outside of the realm of spirit.
Yeah.
They're getting it from your Facebook page or whatever. This hat's too hot. Sorry. Imagine my hat's on. I got a light on. Right. And I can't read the questions really well if I have my glasses off. So, okay. Anyway. So I have a lot of different psychics that I've been writing about. They're so much fun. I wanted to show you something new that my team is working on. I have a team. JD's in it, and he's been helping with this one project. So,
all right, JD.
Yeah, he's great. So I'm learning a lot from him, and he's learning a lot from our community as well as some other people. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, so there's this one psychic we've worked on for a long time. I keep trying to move away from him. It's Thomas John. I keep trying to move away, but he's just too easy to catch. I mean, he's got 3 TV shows, or 2 TV shows and a Vegas Caesar's Palace. He has a room.
All the still going on?
No, it's a pandemic.
Okay. Good.
He didn't foresee it canceling, but it's canceled. And I wrote an article about it with screenshots of him booking events into July. Now, what good are psychics that can't tell you that there's a pandemic coming? But
right.
I digress. So anyway, he says, so we keep going back to him. You guys just go to the Wikipedia page for Thomas John, and that is where you will find all this information I'm giving you, because it's really too long for me to give you all the information in 45 minutes. So if you go to any psychic that is like a known psychic, like Teresa Caputo, Sylvia Brown, Tyler Henry, any of those, we probably had a lot to do with that Wikipedia page. And you can find all the articles on the citations at the bottom. Matt Frazier, that's the one that you and Donna were involved with. That was so much fun. They got the New York Times article written, Operation Peach Pit. And you wrote an article about it. That was so helpful. So anyway, so this guy, Thomas John, the problem is that he's a hot reader. In my opinion, I don't want to be sued, but in my opinion, I could back it up. He's
back it up. I've seen the transcripts. I've listened to the tapes. Yeah. Yeah,
and he's got a past, a criminal past. So I don't think he really wants to go there because that will only expose him more. So anyway, Thomas John is the seatbelt psychic, and he also has a TV that was on Lifetime, and then he had CBS All Access called the Thomas John Experience. And basically he gets in a car. Oh, look at Bobby.
Chewy. Hi,
So
Chewy.
he's in the car and he drives people around and he talks to the dead, right? For the
Okay.
person in the back seat. And I've written multiple articles about it. And I loved what you said to JD last week. Was it last week?
Yeah, it was last week.
That you said, I double check Susan's work. She doesn't know it, but I go in and I double check. And I like that. I really like that. That made me feel really good. That was really wonderful to hear that you're fact checking me, because I write things knowing that they need to be fact checked. And I have the facts. That's just the way I think. You know?
Tell you what, like I have a rule. Like I don't trust anybody. I really don't. And it's nothing to do with her personality or, you know, I think anyone's stupid or anything. I don't trust anyone simply because we all make mistakes. That's it.
Absolutely. I could easily put the wrong link to something or put the wrong person's name when I meant this person, but not that person, or who knows what.
Always when I see citations, whether it's a book, I mean, whenever I sit down to read a book and I know I'm going to review it or I'm looking at the information in there, I'm critiquing it, I sit down with a highlighter and a pen and I go through and I check all the references. That's why it takes me so long to read a freaking book, because I'm checking everything. But it's something that has to be done. Yeah.
Nothing
wrong.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And no, I appreciate that you do that. That is important work and I feel better about what I'm putting out, that I know that it's backed up. Anyway, my point is that so this guy, Thomas John, one of the reasons why I'm having a hard time moving from him and going to other psychics is because people keep writing to me because they keep finding my articles and they have been they've been harmed by him emotionally.
Right.
And so I keep getting these articles. I keep finding this more information. I've got like 15 articles I need to sit down and write, and I'm not getting them done. I'm just it's not happening. There's one right now that's being proofread by one of the people on my team that every one of them is my favorite, you know. And so we've been attending my Guerrilla Skeptics. That's the group we're in, a private Facebook group called Operation Grief Vampire. You can't get there. I have to let you in. And we've been doing a lot of research. And one of the things we did was the one article you talked about last week, circling back to right turns only, circling back to Seatbelt Psychic, which we were just muted the videos of him doing Seatbelt Psychic. And we just looked at what was through the window.
Right.
And we could see the background. And then we were able to tell from just the background that he was making loops, picking these people up, and he was going by the same businesses. You're just looking through the windows and you can see that a car is following them. You can see that he's in the car for multiple times, you know, with the same person in it. And when you watch the show, it's totally different because they're the way it's edited. So anyway, so that's the kind of thing we do. It's really tedious. Right now, I've got this one fun thing. So we've been attending these Zoom calls. They're like multiple people on the screen. He's talking to the dead or whatever he's doing, you know, claiming to. And we're attending in real time. He doesn't know we're there because he ain't psychic. And, you know, we're muted or whatever we're doing, or we have fake names or fake personas. And we're recording. And they also record and they release the video to us because we paid. So they don't know who we are because they're not psychic. And so, I mean, common sense, right?
Right.
So he, if you're watching Thomas John, hi, how you doing?
Hi, TJ.
Hey, TJ. So I'm trying to set this up so I can show you this video. It's only 30 seconds long. I just edited it before I got onto the show with you. And one of the things we noticed, when you watch these enough, you see the common things.
Right.
So what our team is doing is, okay, so let's say we're on a screen, there's 300 people in the Zoom call, and you can see across their names are on the Zoom screen. Susan Gerbic. If you Google Susan Gerbic, you're going to find me. That's an unusual enough name that you will find besides my Wikipedia page, you will find lots of information about me, mainly my Facebook page. So you can tell what's on my Facebook page. You can tell what I've been up to. You can look at my photos. You can get all kinds of information from that. And then he just turns around and acts as if he's getting it from the spirit world. Now, I don't know. Maybe he is psychic, but I think if he is, he's stupid as hell, because you can just go read the Facebook page. Why bother going through the dead when you can just read the Facebook page? Maybe he is reading. Maybe he is talking to the dead, or the dead is talking to him and the dead is reading the Facebook page. I don't know. So I noticed the other day, looking at a video, and you're watching it and you're scanning it and you're going backwards and forwards and transcribing, and you're trying to get it just right and listen to it just exactly right. So I'm looking at the screen, and Thomas John gave us a video where he's the main image, right? It's not like there's little people's faces all over it. It's just the face. It's just the one. And he gets right in here like this. Now, he doesn't wear glasses. So now look at me. If I'm talking to you and I'm talking to the person on the screen, it depends on where my camera is, obviously, but I'm looking at it. You get used to him talking to the screen, and I don't know. Do I look like I'm looking right at the screen at you?
You look like you're looking at the screen. Now you're looking at me.
Okay, I'm looking at you, Kenny.
Yeah.
So he looks like he's looking at the person who's talking on the screen. He looks like he's looking right at him. But then he'll peek down like this, and you'll see him go like that. Now, do you see what I'm doing with my eyes?
You're going off to the side.
I'm looking down to the right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking to somebody on social, and you're in social media world, what's down there on the right-hand side?
Could be several things. It could be a phone. It could be notes. It could mouse. It could be, I don't know what. It could be anything.
It could be a lot of things, but let's rule out all those common things. And what's most likely is Facebook Messenger. If you had Facebook Messenger open and Zoom, so you have Zoom on one screen, like here, and you just kind of minimize it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it comes up on
Facebook Messenger. Where is it going to appear?
Yeah,
you have chat open.
The lower right.
Lower right-hand corner, right here on my screen.
Right.
I don't know. This is mirror.
It would be for me. Yeah, I would be looking at it right now if it popped up.
Yeah, think Kenny.
Shut up, JD.
So now it doesn't mean he's looking at Facebook Messenger. I'm just saying it would be very easy for him to have a Confederate in the Zoom room, and you've got 300 people in the room. Their names are clearly on their face on their Zoom screens. They never pick somebody whose name is Joanne's iPhone. It's always the person with the first and last name, sometimes with first, middle, and last name. And in real time, my team is watching this, and my team is like, who are they picking next? Okay, it's Kenny Biddle. Oh, so here comes Thomas John talking. I'm getting somebody in somebody from Philadelphia who was involved, something with a peach pit. What about a peach pit? I'm getting something about somebody. I'm getting a D name. It's Donna. Is there a name? Something? Is there somebody? And then people in chat are going, "That's me. That's me. That's," they're calling out to him in chat because the room's all muted. And he goes, "Oh, I'm getting this person, Kenny. Yeah, that's it." And they go, "Kenny, could you unmute yourself?" Now, in my opinion, and my team's opinion, he already knows damn well who he's going to call on before he starts talking about an Anna name, a D kind of name. So what he does is he goes, Kenny, yeah, Kenny. So there's Kenny. And then Thomas John gives you some platitudes. He gives you some very specific hits, like who's George or who's John, or people who he shouldn't know their names. And he never says your dad's name is David. He says, who's David? It might be your dog. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's looking, but he'll look down on that screen, and then he'll look right up and he'll give you the information. Now, if you were a Confederate in that room, you could be going through and saying, okay, and you see on another screen, you're like, oh, I see a Martha Vasquez.
Right.
Maybe that's unusual enough. And they Google Martha Vasquez that matches the picture of the person on the screen. And then they just go over to the Facebook Messenger and they say, your next target is Margaret Vasquez. And just quick little things that he can visually quickly look like. Mother Elizabeth, Tucson, Arizona, dog, his name is Joey, just quick things like that. He can look at it really quick and he can see it. Who's Joey? And then they'll say, oh, that's my dog. And you're like, because that's what I'm hearing. It's man's best friend. That's exactly what I heard. That makes sense now. And Joey, he's kind of a large dog, right? He's kind of dark, right? And he's peeking.
Right.
So I think that's what's going on. I can't prove it, but we just started researching it. So JD and a lot of other people are doing the tedious work of watching Zoom screens and watching and making Thomas John's face as big as you can, which is scary. And so you put it on the screen and you're watching his eyes and you're watching the direction. So I put together a 30-second video of what we're doing.
Awesome.
Nobody's seen it yet.
I can totally relate to this. I mean, just with what you're describing and seeing like in comics, like JD's like, he's got an assistant there. Yeah. I mean, if I didn't tell anyone that Donna was helping me tonight and she stayed quiet, you wouldn't know. Like she's right here off screen. You can't see her, but she's wait. Oh, there she is. There's her hand. But she's off screen. She's on my laptop, which is also in here, which is why she's controlling the comments and stuff. But she can easily put in comments or hold up notes or even send me a message through Facebook.
Absolutely.
Right up onto another screen here.
A piece of paper and it's got black marker on it saying Switzerland.
I can easily do like one of these, where I'm like, oh, I'm thinking, and I'm looking directly at her now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can read off of it.
So this is all magic, right? Now, of course, Mark Edwards here, and he's my partner, and so of course I'm thinking of it from a magic way. And Mark's looked at these video clips that I'm doing, and I'm like, what's he doing? What do you think of what he just did? He says, I think he's doing a peek, and it's doing it really bad. They call it a glimpse or a peek, and he says it's usually done on the offbeat. Whenever you're doing magic, you're trying to do misdirection to keep you from noticing that you're peeking at something. It's a trick. It's a mentalism trick. So let me.
And if you're good at it, which TJ is not good. He's not good at it.
Well, the people are crying. They're bawling their eyes out. They're not paying attention. Nobody thinks he's cheating. He's doing this. I mean, why would you? Okay, so I'm going to set this up. And then I will hit the share screen, and you are going to share it with everybody.
I'm going to share, yeah.
It's 30 seconds long.
We did a talk. You were doing a podcast, and I was on, and we were talking about psychics, and I was able to, I think I did a screen grab of your side, and I was able to zoom in on some objects in the background without you knowing. I had it up on a different screen. That's right. And we went through, and I was like, I see like this.
Wasn't it this podcast? Wasn't it this?
It was your podcast.
Oh, was it?
You were doing one.
Oh, it was one of my live feeds on Facebook. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Like I said, time, and I don't know.
There's so many. I mean, if you're good at it, you can, like, I have a pretty good setup here, and I can have information up on either side. So I can go, like, looking around all over the place. I don't have to look at the same spot. I can
imagine if this is your occupation that you use to pay your bills.
I could make so much freaking money.
Oh, my God. This is so much. Okay, so. All
right, share that.
30-second video. I'm setting it up.
Make sure you share the audio too. Make sure you click the box for the audio.
So he's just a clip I took out of a video, and just real quick because I wanted to have something to show you. But what you're going to see is Thomas John is talking to a man named Kyle, and Thomas John is one of these people who looks around all the place. I did the same thing too. But you'll see him take a peek, and what you're going to see him go like this. Hold on. And you're going to watch his eyelids. So if you guys are all watching this out there, make sure you blow this up as big as you can, because you're going to watch his eyelids flutter as he looks in the corner. And then he's going to come back and give some information to the person, and the guy's going to verify it. And then you'll see Thomas John take another quick peek again. And he does this. he'll give a lot of platitudes and a lot of other things. And then he takes a peek and then he comes back with something very specific, a name, a dog, Joey,
Okay.
And because I didn't want to reveal the guy's last name, that he's the person he's reading, the sitter, I put like a picture over the top of the guy's name because I am not learning. They deleted my software that I used to make movies of that I loved. And so I'm trying to learn new stuff and I hate it. It's so complicated. Okay, share screen. It is. My God, you guys just, oops. Maybe I didn't. Let me stop sharing.
Wait,
I
it was there.
Audio.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you click that. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so he's going to, like I said, we might have to see it a couple times so you can watch.
Okay.
Do I have to hit play?
You have to play. Yeah, you hit play.
Oh, it's like magic.
I do feel, and I'm getting a little sense of your dad. So again, we'll see where that goes and stuff. I feel like I'd probably be able to give you at least some validation. I mean, they're telling me that that would be very helpful for you. So I would like to be able to do that. I'm just kind of in that more psychic mind. I definitely feel the last couple of years for you have been really challenging. And I feel like you're telling me that just things have been very, very challenging. Hold on. Kyle, do you know John in spirit?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So if you'll see, he turns his head, glances down. You can see him close his eyes like he's thinking to the spirit world sending him a message. And you see his eyelashes flutter just long enough to see a peek and gets the name. And then he confirms it with the guy and he says yes. And you see I covered up his name because I didn't know how to flip and fix this stupid video because they got rid of my software I loved. I just put the word wow over it or something. So I'm going to show it one more time because it's really quick. And look at it again. And you'll see Thomas John makes a second peek. So watch for he validates the guy. The guy's picture comes up. He says, that's my dad. And then he glances down again. And remember, there's also time when Thomas John is not on the screen, we can't tell if he's having a good long look at it.
Right.
We don't know because he's not on the main screen at the moment, but that's what we got.
I do feel, and I'm getting a little sense of your dad. So again, we'll see where that goes and stuff. I feel like I'd probably be able to give you at least some validation. I mean, they're telling me that that would be very helpful for you. So I would like to be able to do that. I'm just kind of in that more psychic mind. I definitely feel the last couple of years for you have been really challenging. And I feel like you're telling me that just things have been very, very challenging. Hold on.
Yes.
Kyle, do you know John in spirit?
Peek.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Peek, yeah.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. So that's what we're working on now is trying to string together. I'm just curious to see what we come up with, and that's what my team is doing. Is they're going through videos and they're trying to see if there is a consistent amount of little clips like that where he, yeah, I know, seriously, where he's glancing in that same corner. It might not be Messenger. It might be who knows what, or it might be nothing. It might be a frog he's got in a little aquarium down there. And I don't know, but it could be. And I think it's a good hypothesis. And again, I won't be able to prove it because I can't see his screen.
Right.
But unless he starts wearing glasses and you can start seeing the. But I think that it's a good way of saying, look. And then he comes back and says something very specific, and then and maybe glancing again, and you'll see him in between, kind of rambling, repeating back things. Because this guy there's a much longer thing, but
yeah,
the guy went on and talked about how bad his life has been for the last 2 years. I mean,
the sitter,
sitter had told that before, like 4 or 5 minutes before that. This will be in an article somewhere that I'll probably do, but he says, oh, his car was broken and he hasn't had a car. He lost his license. He's just finally getting his car back. And the last 2 years have been horrible. And then, we're in a freaking pandemic. So how great can that be? Of course you're going through stress. Who isn't? And, on and on. And just Thomas John's kind of like, like his mind is out there floating somewhere and going, I'm just repeating back what you said.
Right.
Yes, JD, we've caught him using Facebook multiple times, but I just think it's interesting to see this technique. It's like the article I did about why is he in a car with the people in the back seat and they're driving in the lane closest to the right and he's making right turns. He never makes a left turn the whole show. And he's constantly going in there. Notice there is nothing.
Effective. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I can't.
No, unfortunately, like I've tried that, Bob. I tried that before with other videos. When people are like really close to the screen and it's like, they're right up there and you can see the glint in their eyes. I think they call it the life light, when your eyes reflect light. But it's extremely difficult and impossible with current software, because I've tried to blow that up to see what people were looking at the time, especially movies, but the quality is bad already.
Right. It's a Zoom screen. It's a recording I'm taking from a Zoom screen. And again, even if I was able to see it, what good is that? It's just like this, it's still a theory. But now the person who's a sitter, I can see in the guy's glasses, I can see him looking at Thomas John, and you can see Thomas John in his glasses. It's so clear. It's so funny because I'm like, he's looking right at Thomas John. I could see Thomas John reflected in both lenses. It's really interesting. The point is, it's just another avenue I thought would be kind of fun to explore.
It is.
My team something very tedious to do.
Well, you know what?
And we discover other things as we're going along. We discover all kinds of stuff that we had no idea was going on.
That's part of this work. I can relate totally, because most of the videos that I have to watch to review, and my wife can attest, like sometimes we watch ghost hunting programs when I ready to review, and I have to watch segments over and over and over again. And it's not because I just love to torture the shit out of myself. It's just because I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for what's out of place. And stuff like this, that scene, when he goes like this, and you see his eyes flutter, but you can actually see the movement of his eyelid turn. You can see because the eyeball is not perfectly a globe. It comes out when the pupil is there. You can see it bulge out towards the screen. And that reminded me starkly of my high school days when I used to cheat off of people during tests. I'm like this, but I'm looking as hard as I can off to the side.
The teachers know. They don't want to mess with it. Exactly. And I don't need to sting this guy again. I sting him. He could do a reading for 90 minutes, and he's got, 12 people he reads. Every single freaking one of them has a hot read throughout the whole thing. But it's fascinating to me psychologically, the reactions of the people that are on the screen. And as you guys read some of my articles, you'll see just some of the different things that I pick up on that I think are, it's just so interesting. Like on Seatbelt Psychic on the show, the article I wrote on Right Turns Only. About Seatbelt Psychic that just came out a month or so ago. One of the things I noticed by watching the video over and over is that he's talking to this woman. She gets in the backseat of the car. He says, "Hi, how are you doing?" And he says, "There's like 200 dead people got in the car with you. What's going on?" And they're driving as he's doing this. He pretends he's supposed to be a cab driver, like a pickup,
like an Uber driver.
Uber driver, but not saying Uber. But they never ever put a destination in the
right.
No fare, nothing. It's obviously not. And the there's GoPro cameras all over the car. We can see that.
You can't help but see them.
We can see. Well, he's done a show where they showed the inside of the car, and you could see these big hunking cameras aimed right at the person. So why does a person get in the back seat and never go, "Whoa, what the heck? Why is her camera facing right in my face?" And you see the camera as the person walks up. There's a camera on the outside of that door. So why are these people getting into the Uber when there's a camera outside and no, you'd go running, screaming, what the hell, cash cab.
You know what you're getting into. That's it.
Of course they do. And if you know you're getting into it, then that means you've signed paperwork. And if you've signed paperwork, because there's no company in the world, no producing company to allow him to drive complete strangers and film them, and he's driving them without some legal document signed.
Exactly.
And you know they've signed it.
Yep.
And I talked to one of the people who was in the back seat who said, damn well, yeah, they signed documents. They don't know what they were, but they signed all these documents, and they said, here comes your car.
Yeah.
And so if you've got their name, then you can find out who they are, at least enough to get into their social media. So anyway, so as I was saying, so here he gets in the car. This woman gets in the back. Yeah. John. So you get it. So they get in the car, and the car is moving, and he says, I'm going to have to pull over because there's all these dead people with you. And she goes, oh, maybe that's because I'm a mortician. And he goes, yeah, that might be it. And then he's driving. You can see the motion in the car in the back. And then the next second, he stopped. I mean, totally stopped. And you realize it's a parking lot. Now, how did you go from driving to stopped in a parking lot? You're in a street. Now you're in a parking lot. All of a sudden, I mean, like a second passes. And she gets out of the car, and Thomas John makes this big, oh my God, that was so awful. And then, and she just gets out of the car. I'm thinking, you just let some person out just randomly on the street. I think it was raining too. It's like, you don't just kick somebody to the curb, right? And then he's in his car. He's in the driver's seat, right? He needs air. He feels like he needs some air. So if you're driving a car and you feel like you need some air, you roll down the window with your little, bzzz, right? No, he opens the door. And as he opens the door, you can see he's in a parking space with other cars next to him. And I'm thinking, why did he open the door instead of rolling the window down? Which just seems like that would be more natural, especially if it's raining.
Right.
And I thought the car's turned off. So why is the car turned off if you're just dropping somebody off? And then you picture the scenario. He's driving this woman around, and it looks like she's in the car a total of a minute. Have this interaction. The car is stopped. You don't see him come to stop like that. No, it's obviously cut and edited that way, and that they might have been sitting in that car talking for a very long time in a parking lot with a parking space. The car is turned off. That's why he had to open the door and to get air, because he couldn't have rolled down the window because how you turn off the key and the window doesn't want to go up and down anymore because you haven't got I don't have a key. You push the little start button on I have a push the little button, but you see what I'm saying? The more you watch this, you go, well, that's odd. Why is he not rolling down the window? And then you think, well, what would lead him not to roll down the window? Why would he open the door? And then I'm thinking like you, Kenny. I learned from you, because this is the kind of thing I can see you going down the exact same path.
Yep.
You see these little oddities, and you start thinking about it. Well, that is a little odd. Why would he just let her off just anywhere?
Yeah. Why didn't he do the simple thing and normal thing? Why did he do something different? What's going on here?
What is that? And then you think about
rewatch it.
You are so susceptible to dead people, and that 200 people, a person who supposedly is a mortician, gets in the car with you, and you can't drive. Well, then do you think you should be driving?
Why would 200 spirits be hanging with a mortician?
Yes. And what kind of thing do you tell a person that? Because she was all into it. She thought it was great. But still, the thought of there are 200 dead people clinging to you is not comfortable. That's not something you tell people.
Why?
I don't think that's ethical.
Like, they're already dead way before they come to the mortician. They died a while ago.
Right. So why would they be? Aren't they supposed to be haunting houses somewhere or something?
Yeah.
How would you go into a hospital?
Shit like that?
How would you go to a hospital, Thomas John? You know how many people die in a hospital?
Yeah.
How do you go to a rest home to visit? Or
No,
if
we don't want him doing that.
You should not be driving a car.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. if you can't, it's just, you think about this after a while and you go, really? And then also when I've seen him on stage, when I did Operation Pizza Roll, Mark Edward and I did, he stood on that stage for 2 hours with his eyes closed, except for one time he reached over and got a water bottle. He never moved. He had his microphone and he had his eyes closed the whole time like this, really listening intently to the spirit world. And we've seen him do other shows in Vegas and he's up on stage. He has his eyes closed and he says over and over, I do that so I can really concentrate. Yeah, you're concentrating on something. Yeah. And so what's he doing driving a car, talking to people who are supposedly dead with your eyes open? You know, I don't get it.
Right.
It's just, you know. So people said, I saw somebody said they really want to help out with this thing. You have to contact me on Facebook Messenger, friend me. Yes. It's a private Facebook group where there you go. So if you want to get over there, that's fine. I'm a slave master. I'm like, all right, I need you to watch this video clip 100 times over and over and over until his voice is in the background of your dreams, you know? And then sometimes I tell some of the assignments I give them are, okay, I want you to go to Chip Coffey's social media and I want you to follow him on everything. I want you to report back if there's anything that I need to know about. You go there and you just blend in and just troll. Just don't say anything. Just when he finally says something that's relevant that we need to know, let me know. If there's a video he does that has some kind of information on it that we need to know about, I need a URL for it, and then we're going to copy it and we're going to save it because, of course, we don't want to just assume it's going to last forever. We got to pull that audio. We got to.
Yep. We got to save it, screen cap it. We got to archive it. We got to do all the. It's so great and refreshing to hear. I love having guests on like you because it's like when you come up with this stuff and you talk about how you go about things, it's like I'm totally right there. I'm right there next to you.
I know. When I read I love reading your work. I absolutely do. The journey you're on is so interesting. Like the one you did with the book, which was the one you did with the book, and you found a book that was written and it was dated on the inside cover, and then you went and you talked to the people at the garage sale or something that the guy bought it from, and then you found out that it was dated to somebody else's name. What was that? So I like those. You go on a journey, or like when you did the mirror.
Huh? The mirror. Yeah, the Bela Lugosi mirror. That was good. Yeah.
You don't remember the children's book? You said it was supposed to be.
Oh, the children's book. The demon book.
It had blood on it or something. And you're like,
that one. Yes. That was at a museum. Yes. And
was it Zach Baggins again?
No. That was not Zach Baggins. It was a different museum. It was a good guy, Steve Hummel, that runs the museum. And he let us come in. And me and Tim Vickers, we came in and he took it out of the case for us, let us examine it. It had blood on it. And then, it allegedly had blood on it. I'm pretty sure it's like spaghetti.
Blood, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And
look, I brought you a bloody book to play with today.
And that was one of the things. Like, it was, the story said that it was bought at a yard sale and it had blood from the murder on it. It was bought by a grandmother who gave it to the grandkid. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
That story at all.
Why would you do that? Why would you give your grandkid a bloody book? No.
And say it's bloody because
right.
Somebody said it is bloody. It was, and whoever gave it to grandma or grandma bought it,
Right. Yeah.
Well, in the Depression, we just saved everything, blood or not,
Yeah.
So
you know what? It gets to a point, and I'm sure you're there too, where you write so many articles that it takes. Sometimes it's like 2 or 3 years ago, somebody brings up a topic, and I get this a lot. I get emails where somebody yells at me about, you wrote this and this isn't true, and I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Can you have a citation, please?
Yeah. Can you give me a reference? Can you give me something?
One article, right?
To go on.
I know exactly what you mean, but I almost never get hate mail, which is really interesting. And when I do get hate mail, it's polite. They call me Ms. Gerbic.
Oh, that's nice.
I think they're afraid of me, to be honest with you. But
I get a mix. Sometimes I get a Mr. Biddle. Sometimes I get Dear Asshole. And then it's like, oh, this is going to be entertaining.
I get almost nothing. I see a few comments every once in a while on YouTube videos, but
right.
I don't. But it's exactly right, Kenny. You know, what we're doing is so important, and what you're doing is super important too, because like I said, we can't exist. We can't do this activism unless we have a circle of people doing it, expertise, and then they have to research and they have to write really good, and then you have to have, it goes in this thing. Otherwise, you just have people reading and it's like, oh, that's nice, another bloody book on spaghetti, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But as JD was talking about last week, and I haven't written an article about this yet, but Thomas John was the one he was talking about last week, is the guy who's going to be doing in April these $400 a pop readings for these kids from the ages 5 to 12 and talk to them about dead people and mediumship. I'm not letting it happen. And JD's been telling me, no, I'm going to do everything I can to stop it. And I want to come up with some really smart way of how to end it. JD says that he thinks we can get Shopify to end shut down that event. Mm-hmm. But I want to make sure that whatever call to action I say, hey, everybody, let's do this, that number one, everybody does it. And then it's the most effective, that really will at least shut down that April event. And I'm thinking it through, maybe media coverages might be what I need to do, and shame him or shame something, because I know Shopify, from what I understand, and some of these others are under so much pressure right now because of the alt-right, all that. But right now, I almost think they might be overwhelmed with doing research on if they're allowing the the alt-right, these writers to, and that's got to take a lot of manpower to look into all the claims and all the things that people are coming up and saying, oh my gosh, here's this guy was at the Capitol, inside the Capitol building, you got to shut his site down, and here's another one, and they probably get 10,000 things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right, JP. Really? They got John Edward. His name is John Edward, right? Like Mark Edward. There's no S on the ends.
I like Mark better.
Yeah, I like Mark better too. But he was going to do, right after 9/11, he was going to talk to a bunch of dead people, and that got shut down because it was in such bad taste.
He was going to pretend to talk to a bunch of dead people.
That's true. That's
from 9/11. Which
get a bunch of lawyers. And so they decided to cancel it. And no other psychic has done anything like that since that I've heard of, or at least not known. And so we're going to have to do something like that. But like I said, I'll write an article, and I know you will be generous enough with your intelligent group out there that's watching this right now to whatever we decide is probably the best action to help us out. If it's write a letter of complaint or something.
And what's nice about your group, like whenever you reach out and say, hey, can you do this?
Hey.
Hey, I need you to do this. I love how first you're like, hey, I need you to do this. And most of the time I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Susan said to do it. I have to do this.
I got to find a place and do it. And you do a terrific job.
And I've never had a problem with it. Never had a problem with
most people, Kenny. You do it because I only ask you because I
needs to be done. It needs to be done, like
right.
Jeanette Wilson was a big problem. She was a big problem. And has she just disappeared?
Because why she disappeared? She tried to run for, this is the psychic.
I saw that part where she tried to
run for office in New Zealand again, and I guess whatever would be like the House of Representatives here in America. And she had gone on this rampage, and she started using the N word with the people there. What is it called? The people who are, there's a lot of buy-in in the marginalized societies in New Zealand of people who are indigenous. Okay. And I don't know a lot about this kind of thing because I'm not from New Zealand. I don't really know a lot about that, but there are people who are feel like First Nation the flag we should be flying should represent this, or, they feel ignored and stuff. So they buy into a lot of conspiracies. And so Jeanette Wilson had like one of these guys who's a person of color, and she was telling him, she did a live feed, and she's like, they treat you like a N-word, and I think he said it first. And she's a white woman, right? So she looks like me. She has no business using that word. I don't care, even if she's repeating what he said. But she kept using it, like, this is how they treat you, and I think that was just a step too far for society in New Zealand. And her campaign lasted 22 hours. And I think also the Wikipedia page had a hell of a lot to do with it, because people going, who is this woman who's running for office? And it was one of those campaigns like the Transcendental Meditation Party or something, it was a conspiracy theory kind of party. And so she had, so I think that the Wikipedia page, along with the video she'd done using the N-word, I think that was the end of it. And we haven't heard anything more from her. I she's still doing her healings or whatever she's doing, but it's low down.
Right.
Because, it was a 1-2 punch. We had the reporter writing about her. You wrote a thing on her ghost orb stuff. I mean, her Wikipedia page was hammered, created, and you guys can look at this thing. There's nothing on there that is inflammatory or incorrect. It's all cited. We've been here 2 hours. I think I probably worn you out. Donna's probably.
You have not worn me out. I mean, I could.
Oh, come on.
Please. I can talk about this shit all night long.
All right.
I'm not worried about it. I'm just.
You're 3 hours ahead of me, so ha ha.
Whatever. But my producer is looking a little. My producer is starting to bob her head down a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
What time is it there? 11.
It's 11 o'clock here.
It's 8 o'clock here.
So I just put in the Wikipedia page for Jeanette Wilson. Feel free to look that up and take a read. Very interesting. Yeah.
So people out there who are interested in getting involved in whatever stings I've got going, or the facilitated communication thing, which I didn't have a chance to touch on, and all the other things, please get a hold of me at Facebook Messenger is the easiest way to get a hold of me. After JD's talk last time, I had at least 2 people friend me on Facebook from here. It was really kind of cute. And we have a YouTube channel. I have tons of videos. You're on one of the videos. I have a website that has actually a couple articles with you. Riddle Me Biddle. I remember I did that.
That was a good one.
Go to conferences. Here's, how do I give you this? I can give you this way. Here's all the psychic stuff. And I will give you the website, and people can find from here. There's all kinds of information on the left-hand side that tells you all the different, they could find stuff on there. There's all kinds. And we're a 501(c)(3)(d)(q) nonprofit, thanks to the James Randi Educational Foundation and James Randi. Awesome. And so if you want to fund me, or if you want to leave me something in your will, we can take care of that for you. Awesome. So it helps us do more stuff.
All right. So you sent me, let me put these links in the chat room, because I want people to see them. So, all right. So, I mean, that pretty much wrapped it up. You gave me your link.
That was just the tip of the iceberg, people. Seriously. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he was doing some research on another project I'm getting involved in. I gave him he's like, give me everything. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no way. So I gave him a bunch, and he's going to go through one at a time. And I'm like, oh my God. You gotta be kidding me.
It's good work. I mean, I love what you're doing. And I mean, the impact is obvious. You reach millions and millions of people.
20 million page views. My God.
Yeah. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, I think
we've written, not just for all the work we do.
Right. I remember I listened to a podcast that Rob Palmer is on, and Rob is one of your editors. He's a good friend of mine. He's local to me. We've actually done lectures together. But I remember him saying something about for numbers, if you publish a book, you're lucky if you get like 3,300 or 33, something.
Yeah, some number like that in your whole lifetime
of readers. And if you get a page, like you start doing pages and you're getting 1 million views or 100,000 views, I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah, you're not getting paid for it, but this is a passion. Like we said in the beginning, this is a passion for people that do this. The articles that I write and do for SI, I mean, it's a passion for me. I love doing it. It's not my full-time job. So I love doing
my
it.
full-time job, and I'm retired. I'm supposed to be retired. I need to retire from my retirement.
You retired so you could work harder.
I've been doing this for a long time, but not that long. I was only maybe 10 years. So, I'm not been doing this. I was nobody. Nobody would have put me on a podcast. I never heard of a podcast. Ridiculous.
And now you're doing the podcast with Richard Saunders.
Oh yeah, I'm a
Skeptic
fellow
Zone.
now. I've been a fellow for a few years. I'm also a technical consultant. So there.
Yes.
I got that first, and then they gave me the fellowship. Hey, I've got a fellowship for I'm going to say it right. GWUP, the German Society of Skeptics. They gave me a fellowship too, and that is so cool. And then I'm going to be coming out to DC as soon as this damn pandemic's over, because the National Capital Area Skeptics gave me their lifetime achievement. Well, not a lifetime achievement. I think it's Skeptic of the Year award 2 years ago, but I couldn't get there to go get the award, and it was all planned to go, and then the stupid pandemic, and then I am going. I told them, don't send me my award. I want to go there. I want to go hang out with the Capillary Skeptics again. And
I've gone down. I've hung out with them a couple times. I think I've done two talks with them. And I love hanging out with them. So yes, when you get your butt out here to DC, I will be there. We'll both Don and I will both be there.
Usually when I go on tour, like when Mark Edward and I would go on tour, we would go someplace and then go around to the smaller groups and do lectures to even if it's 10 people. And I've met so many times. I love meeting people one-on-one in small groups, and we've done that a lot. So
absolutely.
I was planning on going to Buffalo and going to the Capillary Skeptics. I did a lecture in the Chevy Chase Library a few years ago. That was
I've been there.
They took me to see the monuments at night. That was so cool. The Lincoln Monument. Oh, it's beautiful places back there.
Awesome.
I haven't been to your area. I've never been there. I want to go see the haunted stuff.
Yeah, I have plenty of places around here that I am friendly with, which is a nice thing. I mean, even though I'm skeptic guy, I still have a good relationship with a lot of the paranormal or spooky places around here. So
I want to go see Lilydale again. I've been there with Joe.
That's a little far from here.
Well, if I was going to go to Buffalo,
right?
To see if I then, excuse me, I got the hiccups, and then go up to
well, hell, we'll take a couple days off and we'll come up with you because we've been to Lilydale once, and it was fun. It was very fun. I didn't get kicked out, which is an accomplishment, I think, for me.
Well, I would go in not as a skeptic. I would go to.
Yeah. I just go in like, hey, what's this? Oh, this is cool. Let me see. What's this do?
Yeah. How come you guys didn't plan for the pandemic? You get a wall of psychics here. Nobody planned for the pandemic.
You got an entire town and no one saw this coming?
Nobody's saw it coming.
No one.
That's odd, isn't it? Why would the town plan for events in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, or whatever?
Right.
And I didn't look, but if somebody looks at their website and sees that they had canceled events, I mean, if they had put up on their website, we foresee something really bad happening for about a year, so we're not going to have any events past April, then I'd be impressed.
Yeah.
If I
would be impressed.
That website existed before the pandemic.
And that's something that, I mean, I know a lot of skeptical shows get into that, about the predictions for the year. And I know I don't want to give anything away, but JD and I have actually teamed up on one of these, and we're following someone in real time.
Oh, good. I love you did on Finding the Strange. We did a real time.
Yeah. I love the long time projects like this, where it's like, all right, we have a year. We're going to go the entire year and see what happens. And I did that with Ben Rafford and Celestia Ward when we followed the psychics.
I found that was one of my favorite episodes. Those two.
Yeah.
That was Strange. It's an incredible show.
I still feel bad saying it was fun because it was a very morbid, very tragic.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
It was educational.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. It was really terrific. There's so much good work going on in the community. I just wish it was funded. So that people could
I hear you.
Do more of it.
All right. I'm going to wrap this up. So,
bye, Donna.
Where can people see you?
Susan.
Where can one last time?
Links, and the easiest place to find me is on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, not as active on Twitter, and I have Instagram. Okay. I don't know. Just I'm all over
Facebook. Find her on Facebook and then go from there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to put you in the background just for a minute. If you hang out for a second, I'm going to wrap up the show and end it, and I'll then we can say our goodbyes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sweet. All right, everyone. So, I gotta put my screen back on there. Oh, I feel so much better. I feel weird when it's not on there. Anyway, so that's it for the show. I don't have any announcements. I really don't. There's nothing coming up because, COVID shit. We don't have anything planned. So tomorrow night, yes, I do 3 Tortured Souls with Dave Schumacher and Tim Vickers. And tomorrow night's topic, I think we're talking about, it's a 2-part thing. We're going to be talking about how we would approach claims and test them. What test we would come up with to look into them and then go further. And we have a special announcement, which I'm not going to reveal here, but it's a special announcement, a project that we're working on that we're going to reveal tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So tune in for that tomorrow night. You can find it on the pages, Facebook pages, 3 Tortured Souls. Besides that, I don't think there's anything else going on. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to play my video as soon as I get it queued up here. There it is. All right. And then end it with pretty simple. Never stop learning. Good night.